Okay, very quick update. ITV, they're going to have a documentary pretty soon. I guess it's Sunday night. If not tonight, Sunday night. Well, I'm recording this on Saturday night. But anyway, it has to do with Prince Harry's mental fitness. According to his brother, the person who kind of reminds me of Jack Nicholson in The Shining, you know, that's the one that's saying that Harry has a problem. I mean, I look at this guy. He looks unhinged to me half the time. And of course, he's always angry about something, but we should worry about Harry's mental fitness. How does that work? But okay, be that as it may, Harry is the one who's like working on his situation, but everyone's afraid to speak to the big guy, and that is the one who is like in charge of everything at Kensington Palace. No nightmare there, right? And that would, of course, be obviously Prince William. As I've said before, I'll say it again. Prince William's domain is any place that his grandmother is not around and any place where his father is not around. Then Prince William's words become law, and everybody caters to the Duke of Cambridge. And so, if you consider that, then as things go at the Kensington Palace, like some people say, well, I don't think William actually threw him out. Well, you know, even if there wasn't a case of the Sussexes being kicked out, and I'm not saying that they were, and I'm not saying that that did not happen, but when William says, I don't want to have to look at those two anymore, and if that includes my brother, then so be it, then what do you think happens if he's in charge at Kensington Palace? Now, I'm saying there's got to be someone who is accountable at Kensington Palace. Well, if that someone is the senior royal, the future king would be Prince William, then obviously people are going to respond to him. Okay, so let's say that he didn't kick the Sussexes out at all. Okay, there's a good possibility that didn't happen. But if they would have stayed there, even though life was already incredibly difficult for them, it could have only gradually have gotten worse. Because people that work for the royal family, I'm going to say this again, if the Queen is not around, and if Charles is not around, who do you think they would answer to next? Who's next in the pecking order? Everything is done by rank. That whole family operates out of duty and rank. So the next ranking person in the family is a petulant, childlike man-child with that Jack Nicholson look on his face, that resting Duke of Cambridge face, and that's Prince William. So, yeah, if Prince William is not having a good day at Kensington Palace, no one is having a good day. Kensington Palace, as I've demonstrated before, is not a single building. It's a series of buildings, but it's referred to as a royal household. It's a royal palace. That palace consists of several apartments, different buildings, offices, a kitchen where I'm assuming the staff eats. Perhaps there's a mews there that has the cars or the horses or God knows what. Maybe some of the Camillas. I don't know what's in the mews, but I'm sure there's one there. And so all of these things combined makes that a royal household. So if the Queen is not living there, if Charles does not live there, then who do you think everyone defers to? Who do you think has the last word? That would be Prince William. But okay, I don't live in the UK. I don't know what I'm talking about. I think I got that right, though. The other thing is this. So Omid Scobie says that no sooner than they had the South African trip, that suddenly after Prince Harry mentioned that, you know, he and his brother weren't getting along, then William's staff began to circulate this story that Prince William was concerned about Harry's mental well-being. I don't know how fit he is, you know? And so, okay, let's say that came from the top. Well, in Omid Scobie's opinion, that this happened almost the next day, within a day or two, if not the next day, that this story began to circulate. I'll read this. It says, Mr. Scobie claims that reports saying William was worried about Harry's mental health was deliberately planted by his staff and sowed the seeds for future division between the pair. Mr. Scobie did not provide evidence to support his claims that palace aides or anyone connected to William was responsible for the alleged briefings. Mr. Scobie, who was the co-author of Finding Freedom, he said like this: I would say that it was no coincidence that it was shortly after that aired, that of course being Tom Bradby speaking to Harry and Meghan on the Africa trip. Even the next day, there were source quotes that came from senior aide at Kensington Palace saying that William was worried about his brother's mental health. And that, of course, fed off an ugly thing for Harry, and it did not go unnoticed. Now, whether William directed that or not, no one will ever know, but it came from his household that he is the boss of. See that? That is a quote from Omid, from his household that he is the boss of. So, again, that will appear on ITV if it hasn't already. It already has. And Omid alleges that this was directly from the top. So, as you know, the Kensington Palace and leaks almost go hand in hand. And one of the reasons why, the biggest reason why the Sussexes had to leave Kensington Palace is because of the rivalry, that bitter rivalry. And so now that they're in the U.S., as you may have heard this term before, maybe you haven't, but court rivalry, where you have a royal court. The royal court, if you don't get that part of it, I'm sure most of you do though, that pretty much is the court, the family, and all of the courtiers, everybody who follows them around and tells them how amazing they are, even if they're pretty lousy and can't speak it so well, if they're incredibly shy and they almost need subtitles beneath their chin when they're speaking publicly and that kind of stuff. Those people, or let's say you act like a petulant child and you're always angry about something, and maybe the people of Scotland told you during the pandemic, please don't come up here, but you go anyway, only to be dragged all over social media for doing exactly what the frappuccino we told you not to do. That kind of stuff. And nobody close to them would ever tell them that they were wrong. They don't want that advice, and they're not paying people for that. But you could also connect that to the idea that people who work for you, if you are having issues with someone, they may try to defend you or try to protect you in some ways, and in other ways they will go on the offensive for you and viciously and verbally attack people if they think it's going to impress you. And of course, if you are a petulant man-child person, you probably are in on the game anyway. So that's what I'm trying to say without saying. But all of that being as it unfolds on the ITV program, I believe it to be true, only because that is a tactic of the firm, is to paint someone as unwell, mentally unfit, and then of course possibly the worst happens, who knows. So Harry decided, okay, Frogmore's not far enough. We're going to the U.S. And they left. First to Canada and then to the U.S. So, as I said many times, this pandemic is like the ultimate reset. But once this like country opens up, once the world opens up, trust me when I say this, the Cambridges are going to hit the road because the brand has eroded and they need to try to fix it. So I put it to you like this. Thanks to social media, I don't think they're going to have an easy time of it when they decide to hit the road. As you can see, the precursor is Scotland. Scotland, there's the social media drag that occurs. And if you look at some of the people in Scotland on social media, and I'm not even saying that they speak for all of Scotland, but just think about that. The young people in particular are not even so interested in the royal family, and there's a good reason for that. And I think it all has to do with the Sussexes. You should have kept your star players while you had them instead of running them out of town. Now there's a price to be paid for it. You have rendered yourself obsolete, and it's only going to get worse by the day. So good luck with that, Windsors. I mean, there's always going to be an appeal. There's always going to be a royal family. I'm not saying any of that goes away. But, opening up a supermarket or a hospital ward or something like that, what really do you contribute to those things? Now it's really becoming so obvious, because it was one thing when you opened up a supermarket and people had respect for the family, but this brutality against one's own brother and sister-in-law is not going to win any favor among the masses, and in particular the young people. So pick and choose your battles, and if you want to go after your brother and his wife and the 2 kids, and try to humiliate them, embarrass them, and try to, kick them out of the family or whatever, withhold their titles. Do whatever you think is best, but just remember, when you decide to go on the road and you want to try to promote your brand is going to suffer, because there will be people who will remember how you treated your family. So that's the risk that they're running. Kensington Palace needs to stop this. It would be so easy. Trying to do things by force, especially in this day and age when people will drag you, people will cancel you. This is not a good thing for them. I keep saying that. You need to stop this. The tabloids need to stop. Kensington Palace needs to stop this type of behavior. And I know it just seems like, God, this is a matter of survival for the institution, that we have to go after our blood relatives and his family. But in the long run, does that really work? We'll see. Because obviously they're not pulling back. They're not pulling back. They want to continue down this path of destruction. As Harry has already demonstrated, he's not going to be silenced or hindered by anyone's words or, intentions. He's going to keep pushing on with his self-improvement, ending generational pain and suffering. And he's going to do all of his philanthropic and charity work and such. And that part will go on. So good luck, everybody. I'm so frustrated with this topic, but they just won't stop. It's like we're being gaslighted to confusion that all of these mixed messages really mean something, but it all really is focused on the ones that got away. That's the Sussexes. They got away from it, and it's a matter of survival for them to make sure people keep talking about them. You have a press that says every day that they're so unnecessary and they're going, they're useless, but yet they keep talking about them. So And then if they can't talk about him, then they'll go get his in-laws to talk about him. So, next. Next.